Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the another episode of the Business Application Show, where we talk about the business applications, Dynamics 365 customer engagement. So here, from the last couple of sessions, we have been discussing about that customer service. So we are continuing the same. So because we have so many items there that we need to discuss. So we are one of the topic that is very important in customer service that we are going to discuss today, and then we will have more sessions on the customer service where we will be including some more uh, points, or maybe the more objects which is very plays a very key role in the customer service. Okay, so here is the agenda for today. So we will start with the basic introductions and about that SLA. So we are going to discuss today on that SLA. So this the today complete session is basically based on the SLA, and then we will see how we can enable them, and we will understand what are the basically SLA KPIs that basically track your SLA, and we will see how we can create SLA and SLA items, how we can set up different conditions and actions and all those, and then we will see what are the different ways for us to apply that SLA, and then we will get a overview of the timer control, and then we will have finally demo, which where we will be all that's topic that we will discussing on the next couple of slides that will be there on the demo. Okay, so before jumping into the our main topics, let's have a quick introduction about ourselves. Myself, Mahender, and I have my friend Venkata with me. So we have been like working with Microsoft technologies like more than 10 years now, and both of us are multiple time Microsoft MVPs as well as CSharpCorner MVPs. So I will be taking on this theoretical part of the PPT, and my friend Venkata will be taking a demo for this all the topics. Okay, so let's start. Yeah. So here, as I said that today the complete session is basically about that SLA. So when we started customer service, we have a basic introduction about that SLA, but we are going to dig in more detail today, and we'll see this what is basically SLA and how what are the different types and all those things. Okay. So let me give you a little bit background on this before jumping into more detail on that SLA that will make it more clear. So let's say, for example, you are a service-based industry, and you have some product that you are delivering to your customers, or you are selling, or you are providing some kind of support or whatever. So where the customer service is basically related. Okay, and when in the example of the product based company, let's say you sold your product to your customer, and you said that okay, this is our product, and we provide you 6 month service. If you face any issue, we will give you that 6 month, and we will be replacing it, or we will be fixing it depending on the scenario, right? Or we will be providing you some kind of phone support, we will be providing you some kind of email support, or maybe if there is something some issues there in the device, you can reach out to us, to our support center, service center, or maybe if it's a very heavy vehicle or heavy instrument, whatever the product is, maybe we can also reach out to your location and we can look into there, right? So all these things we are saying, right? But in the business, in the real business scenario, this is the word of mouth is nothing, right? So you need to have a proper mechanism for that, and that's what we have, that SLA. So SLA is basically help us to standardize these customer service, where we can set up that, yeah, a particular metrics, we can set up the set of rules, we can set up different type of level of the agreements, and we can say that this basically we are going to provide you up to based on these standards that we will be implementing with the help of the SLA. Okay, so the SLA basically help the company that if we are saying that we will provide you service on up to 3 months, or we will provide you respond to your query within 1 day, within 1 hour, within 2 hour, within 4 hour, depending on the scenario, whatever of what is the level of service agreement that you are doing, that will be basically tracked against this SLA, right? So SLA will tell that yes, you are whatever you are saying actually you are doing or not, right? So when we set up that SLA, there are set of key, performance indicator that is basically a matrix, and where we have different set of rules. In a simple manner, we can say different set of rules, which will tell us that yes, you are fulfilling that SLA or you are failing to fulfill this SLA. Okay, so these key performance indicator will tell us that yes, you are you all the SLAs are met, whatever you said to your customer, you are doing that, you are completing that promise, or you are failing to complete that you know promise. So that kind of thing is basically SLA. So here you can see I have a screenshot. We can see that we have different type of conditions. Like for example, we have different type of labels, like if your case is coming from the very premium corporate, or not high or standard, so how much the first response you want to send within 1 business hour, or 1 business day, 4 business hours, or 2 business days. So depending on that, what level of your agreement is. So maybe you have like three categories of your customers: gold customers, silver customer, or normal customer, or you can browse customer, or you can simple customer, you can say, right? So depending on the type of the customer, you can have different timing that you will respond. So that's basically when you will respond it, you have done it or not, that will be tracked using the SLA and the KPIs. Okay, so we can apply SLA to the standard entities as well as the custom entities, and we have basically we have two type of SLAs. One is the standard one, and another one is the SLA which is having some enhanced features. So like for example, you can put it on hold. So if something is there, you can there are maybe due to some reason you need to put it that on hold, you can put that SLA on hold, you can pause it. Okay, you can there are different other actions are there that is basically allowed on the enhanced SLA, but all these things are not allowed in a standard SLA. Okay, so that's what we have SLA here. Now, so this, let's say if we have that SLA, and we want to enable it for that. So some of that entity, like for example, case entity. So this is a very important entity in case this customer service, because the customer service is basically the complete module is basically based on this the case entity, right? We discussed this in earlier sessions. You can watch our earlier sessions on more details. So you can see here that this SLA part, this is enable for SLA. So this is already ticked, and you can see this is a disabled. Okay, which means that once you enable that SLA for some entity, you cannot remove it. Okay, so once this feature is enabled, you cannot remove it. Okay, so and this is the example of another entity where we don't have this enabled yet. So you can see that this is checkbox, and it's saying enable for SLA. So this is basically a custom entity. Okay, and you see here it's saying that the field will be created. So there are some set of fields which is basically required by the SLA. So when you enable this entity for SLA, behind the scenes CRM platform create those set of fields which is required for the SLAs. Okay, so that will be created behind the scene. So most of that, you can standard entities like case and other activities, phone call, all these things you can enable them, but not for the reoccurring appointments. And you can have, you can create many SLAs, but maximum SLAs for you can have up to 7 SLAs that is enabled for that entities. Like, maximum of 7 entities can have that active SLA. So we'll see that on the demo. When we create SLA, you need to activate it. If it's not activated, then it won't work. So this is that kind of condition that's there. Okay, so now we know basic introduction about that SLA, and we know how we enable it. So now let's start creating that SLA. Okay. So when we create that SLA, there are some set of attributes that we need to fill, and one of them is the SLA KPI. So before creating that SLA, you need to set up that SLA KPI so that you can select that lookup there when you will create that SLA. So I'll show you in the next slide. So as I said that this SLA KPI is basically set of metrics which allow you to uh, define or basically measure it that okay, you are fulfilling that what you are saying or not. Okay, so here we can, this is an example of a KPIs that is created on case entity. So you can provide the basic details here, name of that entity. So whatever entities that will be enabled for the SLA, you can see all those entity here in the drop down. And then there will be set of fields like first response by API. So here this you are selecting the date time fields, and there will be the fields that's there. And then you can say that okay, which of that from where you want to start measuring, like when the case is created or maybe the first response, depending on the scenario you can select that field. Okay, so once this KPI is set up, then you can go ahead and you can start creating your SLA. Okay, so when we want to create that SLA, so SLA basically is two entities are there. The first one is that you can say that SLA header, where we define that okay, what the name of that SLA you want to keep, and then you select that for which entity you are setting up this SLA. Okay, so depending on that entities which is enabled, you will be able to see all these entity here on the drop down. Okay, once you will create this header and you will save it, then you will see on that another, there is another section which is basically there you can define that SLA item. So you, there will be another subgrid that will be enabled as soon as you will save that header part. And then you can see here this under this SLA item, so there are many things that you need to provide. The standard one is like, for example, name, that name you want to use, and the KPI that which you set up the SLA KPI. So you can select, so this is basically lookup. So when you will click on that, it will show you all that SLA KPIs that is set up for this entity. For for example, let's say if we are creating for the case, so for the case, how many SLA KPIs that you have created, you will be able to see them here, and you can select that, and you can say that okay, I'm setting SLA items for this particular SLA KPIs. Okay, and then there you can set up the business hours. So like you need to respond or you need to act on that queries that is coming from the customer, but you also need to see that what is your business hours, right? That you also communicate to your customers, right? So we are working between this to this hours, right? So there are basically business hours are set up there. There are, it's basically in the setting part, you can go ahead and you can set up your calendar. So this is that kind of setting. Once that is there, you can select it here and you can say that we are applying this business hours depending on that scenario. Okay, we can have different type of business hours set up on the different calendars, right? And then you can, here you can see we have a advanced find type of queries that you can write, or you can just design the conditions here. You can click on the conditions, you can have multiple condition, and you can select the fields and you can put your condition. So for example, this is a service level agreement that SLA is basically equals to gold. So maybe let's say you have, as I said, that you may have it gold SLA or silver, or depending on that. So you can select that. And all these conditions, this basically applies that when this condition will be fulfilled, then this SLA will be applicable there. Okay, so that kind of that set of record of the case entity. And then we have the success condition. Okay, so what are the conditions that will tell that okay, this SLA is fulfilled or this SLA is failed? So these are the set of conditions which will be basically tell you that okay, we are fulfilling that SLA and we are following that SLA and it's not failed. Okay, so that's what we have here under that SLA items. So these basically these are the main thing that you need to provide when you create SLA and SLA items. So you can have many SLAs depending on your scenarios, what type of SLA you want to provide to your customers, so that you can set up many SLAs here, and same conditions you can apply here under that SLA items. Now we have that SLA and we have created SLA items. You need to activate it. That's there, right? But how that will be applicable? So there are different ways to apply that SLA to the set of records. Okay, apply SLA automatically, so we can have that automation in place. We can have that workflows or plugin or Power Automate, which can help us to automatically apply that SLA. So as soon as, maybe let's take an example, that as soon as that record is created, and maybe that record origin, the case origin, or maybe there are some specific attribute you want to check. If that is true, then you want to automatically apply that SLA, then you can use this option. The next option that we have is apply SLA through the entitlement. So when we started discussing about that case, we discussed that there are set of entitlements that is given to the customer, basically like how many phone calls you can do, how many email support you will get, how many on-site service you will get. All these are basically, so when setting up that entitlement, that time also we can say that for this entitlement we are going to apply this particular SLA. Okay, so that is also there. Then apply SLA. So you can go ahead and you can select that. When we'll see in the demo, there is a SLA lookup is there. So when you will let's say for example you are creating a case and you can fill that SLA lookup there. You can select that, okay, which SLA I want to apply to that record. So that's what we have the manually how we can apply SLA to a particular record manually. Set up a default SLA. So as you can see here on the screen, we have a button. When these are basically SLAs that we have created, and then there is a button called set as default. So when you will click on that, so this will be set up as a default, means whenever you will create a case, this SLA will be automatically applied to that. Okay, yes, there are the other set of conditions that is there on the SLA, that will be it will be checking those set of condition if that will be fulfilled or not. So that kind of will be there, but automatically this SLA will be applied to your set of record. Okay, so that's the way of applying SLA. The another thing I want to discuss here is the timer control. Okay, so we have the timer control available that we can put on the entity forms, and this is kind of a tracker, right? So like on that interval, just like we do in if we use the timer control in any programming or in anything, we know that the timer means it will be on some specific interval, it will be running something or validating something, right? So same type of thing is here. So we can put this timer control on the SLA enabled entities, and we can set up these set of attributes. So when the what is the failure field, what is the success condition, what is the failure condition, what is the waiting condition, and all this cancel condition and pause condition. So all these you set up on this timer when you add the timer on this form, and then based on the timer it will track it and it will show you that, okay, how much time is remaining. If you are not responding on that, how much time is remaining on that, and if the time is over and you have not fulfilled that SLA, it will be red color, so that you can see that, okay, that means the SLA is failed for this. And that can be maybe depending on your scenarios, you can accelerate it, or that maybe go to the manager from that normal service executive to the manager, or maybe it will go to the higher level that, okay, we have failed on this, and this kind of thing can be done using the timer control and SLA. Okay, so that's what I want to discuss here, and all these things that we discuss, now we are going to see them in the demo. So I'm going to pass mic to my friend Venkata, and Venkata, over to you. Now you can have the screen and show the demo.
Okay. Thanks, Mahender, for an elaborated discussion or explanation about the SLAs. So let me share my screen.
Okay, it's not visible yet.
Hope you can just confirm me when once you see my screen.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's loading. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
Switch off my cam so that I'll have good bandwidth. Okay. So hope you can see my customer service hub, right?
Yeah, we can see it. Yep.
Okay. So I'm referring to the customer service app, model driven app that is present. If you observe, right, this is my the classical URL of our Dynamics CRM, where you can easily see what are all the published apps that are present. So here, couple of areas that you have to consider. One is the customer service admin and the customer service hub. So before going to the deep explanation about all these things, right? So let me show you about the cases uh, where. So just I will create one new case here, and I will show you how the things how the SLA will be looking for, right? So auto tip I'm giving it. Just I'm creating one customer. Just I'm allocating one particular customer, and just my status was shown as in progress. If you observe, right, I don't have any SLAs that are present. Once I save this particular case, then automatically you will see couple of SLA related details. One is the timer that was mentioned. So this particular case should be resolved in 159 minutes, that is 1 hour. And there was a beautiful SLA timer that is also present. If you observe, right, this is a real time one where the actual minutes and the seconds will be shown. So now what I'm going to do, right, just if I go back to here, and I'll see this as in status to in progress and click on this waiting for details, then just save it. Once you save it, right, then this particular SLA, right, it will be saved as a result success, because the SLA which I have set it right, so it needs to be completed whenever the user has every details that is handy. But because of due to some reasons, still the case requires some details, so that's why, right, I have stopped. So this SLA was marked as a result like this. Just I would like to show you some other cases here, like so if you observe here the SLAs that are present. So if at all you see, these are all my previous cases where I don't have any SLAs that are being enabled. So waiting for details like this. And I wanted to show another status here, so that uh, you can easily to get the details of it. So this is resolved. So if you observe, right, this is an case which has been resolved within that particular 1 hour of the time. Now let us go here how this has been configured. So for that, first we have to go to this customer service admin. So in this customer service admin, we have to go to in the operations service terms. In this service terms, we do have this particular SLAs portion is present. So we have to click on this particular manage, and we will see here the default one SLA that is present which I have given. So if I go back to here, if I open this particular SLA, right, um, in order to see the details, so any SLA will have this particular SLA items will also present. So if I go to back to this particular SLA items, then here, so what is that condition that I have given, right? So this applicable when case title has the data and the status reason. So success condition means the status reason, if it is equal to waiting for details, then my success condition will be executed. So the past conditions I have not given. And if you observe, right, warn and fail duration, warn after 30 minutes and fail after 1 hour. If suppose my case is in progress and I have not took any particular action on the by particular case, then in an hour, right, that particular SLA item will be shown as failure. So let me go back to here. So if at all you wanted to create any particular SLA, first you have to click on this new, and this is a primary entity. You have to select it as a case. See, in my service model driven app, or in the service app of the customer engagement, uh, SLA is being enabled only for this particular primary entity's case. If suppose you enable this particular SLA for other entities, as mentioned in the slides, the max of for 7 entities we can enable that SLAs, then you should see this particular primary entity. So if you observe, right, primary entity shows the primary entity of SLA that has been created. Entity recommendation is entity needs to be enabled for SLA. That's what it will be giving. This is a new feature that has been recently came, like to show the recommendation of this one. So if I wanted to create another one, then I can give this SLA to the primary entity is the case. Then first I have to click on this particular save. Once I click on the save, then I have to add this new SLA item for it. So here I can give the SLA KPIs for is present. So if I go here, I have only one particular KPI that is present. Uh, I can add another KPI as well. So before going that one, right, just so this is how where you can select that particular KPI. Example this one, and here applicable one you have to add this row here, and then you can select any number of okay, these are all the case related fields that are present, where you can mention the condition for it. If suppose the case title, so the case title contains data, that means the case has the title field, then only this particular SLA will get triggered. So again, success condition, I can keep it here like the status case or status reason, like that I can be given. Here, important thing that we have to consider, right? So whenever we are keeping this particular enabling these SLAs for any case related fields, make sure that uh, okay, whenever this field gets changed, right, the SLA gets triggered automatically. There will be an performance related things that you have to be considered whenever you are working with the SLAs with the different entities. So here the past conditions, warn and wait duration I can specify here. So I can specify from 1 minute to the 3 days, like that after, and also the failure after also I can specify it. But by default, it will be the point point 0.5 hours and all. So just, and also, right, if you observe here, as SLA I am just trying to create, it will be draft and active. See, one of the important thing that most of the people will be doing it, right? They will be creating this particular SLA, and then without selecting this, and then uh, they will not select this particular set as default. See, whatever the method that I am explaining here was the manually how we can enable this particular SLA. So if you are giving it, if you get a requirement saying that the SLAs needs to be enabled for one time, then obviously, right, first I will go with an out of box way, like manually enabling this particular SLAs. So first and foremost, you have to mention this, you have to select this particular SLA, and then you have to click on this set as default. If at all you don't set this particular SLA as default, right, then even though SLA is active and you have configured correctly, this SLA will not get triggered. So that's why the important thing that you have to consider is you have to click on this particular SLA and click on the set as default. When coming to the SLA items, that is SLA KPIs, which I try to give it, right. So if I observe this resolve KPI, this is what has been mentioned in the previous slide deck, transitioning by Mahender, like entity name, what is entity name, what is the KPI field, and what is the applicable from, that is the created on. So I don't have any thing that is present. So let us see, in order to create a new SLA KPI, so I can give it as an SLA name here. I can specify the entity name here also. Even so, like SLA, once it is enabled for any particular entity, then that respective entity will come here. In the same way for KPI also, once you enable any SLA, right, automatically the KPI related things will be coming here. So the KPI field by default, out of box way, we will get these resolved by KPI and first response by KPI. You can ask me a question, Venkat, how can we create another SLA KPIs? Then there is another way of doing that one, which is an advanced kind of thing that we will be telling you in the later point of time. So applicable from, then here applicable from, I can select anything, that is by created on, deactivated on, escalated on, first response by, follow up by, and last hold on time. So basically, right, most of the SLAs will be triggered basically SLAs from the created on. But there are few KPIs that will be present like SLAs. Example, whenever any particular case got escalated, then during that particular time, so normally case resolution ideally it will be 8 hours, but once that particular case got escalated, right, then any escalated case should be resolved less than 8 hours, that may be 4 hours, 2 hours, like that. So for that I will be specifying this particular KPI, and then I can give the respective KPIs for it. So if we observe right here, we went to this particular service terms, and then we have given this service level agreements SLA, that is one particular SLA that is present, and also you can delete that particular respective SLA as well. And if you go and if you wanted to go and see the SLA KPIs, whatever the KPIs that are present, this is the KPI that is present. If you observe, it is applicable from created on the entity name, that is the table name, it is case. What is the KPI field is resolved by KPI. Okay. And one more thing, right? So not every person will have this access to the customer service admin center. Whenever you are creating any SLAs, right, you need to ask your Dynamics Power Platform admin center admin, or any Dynamics 365 CRM admin to provide the respective access for it. Okay. So now the part, right, how you can create any SLA and how you can create any KPI, that you have understood. Now what is the other part is how we can add an timer control. That means, so let me go back to here and go to this customer service hub, and if I go to this particular case, I'll go into the list of cases. Then if you observe, right, so this T11, whatever that you saw here, that resolving, you saw that particular timer, right? And also in the SLA, also this timer is being present. You can ask him a question. So how we can do it? So for that, we have to go to the advanced settings. where we will be customizing our case table, that is the case entity. So if you observe, right, what is the form that is being used here? Case for interactive experience. So form we have to consider is case for interactive experience. So it is taking some time for me to load this settings page of the dynamics my app. Okay, so now I am going to the settings and going to the customizations. So as this is particular demo, directly I am going to the customize the setting, but the Microsoft recommended way is going to the solutions and do that one. So I'm going to the customize the system. So here I am going to for
Um,
case
yeah, we cannot see that dialogue.
pop up. Okay, just give me
Yep.
1 minute. Let me share it maybe. So okay. So what I will do, right? I will open it in a new window.
Mm-hmm.
Just okay. So going back to here, just I am customizing the system. So let me open that uh, in a new window here, a new tab. So if I expand these entities, right, then we are going to click on this particular case. So once I select this particular case table, if you observe here, so enable for SLA, it is enabled. So if I go for any other entity, right, just I would like to show you here that particular option. So if I go for this case enrichment, if you observe, this enable for SLA is not checked. So you have to check it. So let us go back to the case table, and in that case table, so if you observe here, what is that form that is we are going to see it is we wanted to add this particular timer control on that case interactive experience form. So here I am going to the forms. Here I'll select this case for interactive experience. So let me open that in a new tab so that you can get more visibility. So here, right, SLA section is present. Okay, in this particular SLA section, what you have to do, you have to click insert and click on this particular timer. So we'll be going to the details. So at any point of time, right, just you can click on this particular timer and it will insert the timer control. And also another one, right? So if you observe in this SLA KPI instances, that is in the SLA. So what I am referring to here in this SLA tab, I will be actually by default it shows as a grid, but I don't want to show that as a grid. I wanted to show it as a control. So for that, what we have to do here, just double click on that SLA KPI instances, click on that controls. So by default, right, it will be read only grid will be present. So what you have to do here, just you click on this add control and then you select that particular SLA timer control. SLA timer, you have to select it. Once you select right, make sure that you check all these particular radio buttons, web, phone and tablet. So if you don't check it right, even though just you have added this SLA timer as a control, and by default read-only grid will have these particular radio buttons that are enabled, and you publish, and once you go back to the case, you will still see that as an read only grid, that is SLA related. For a case, whatever the SLAs that are active, those SLAs will only be shown. Okay, so that's the reason what you have to do it is carefully. This was the big mistake that most of the people will be doing for the first time whenever they are working. So just you select that SLA timer and select this web, phone and tablet options, and then click on, you have to save that, and then make sure that you publish that particular changes. So once you publish this particular changes, right, then what will be happening, right, whatever the timer control that you took, right, that particular timer control will be shown as an interactive way, that is in this particular way, like resolve with an rich user interface, like that you can see it. So once you publish this one, just you can uh, publish all customizations. So here I have selected this case for interactive experience. You can select any other forms that are present, which is for a related table. But remember here, you have to keep this particular SLA related timer control in the table forms only. If at all you take any custom entity, there also you have to consider that respective table forms, and then respective table form you have to select that one form and you keep it there. So once you keep that one, just what you have to do, right, just you can refresh this particular uh, page. So once you do that, then I will get that. See, once if you enable this particular SLA rate, then resolving will come with that particular time as a counter. And also here in the SLA KPI instance, you will get that SLA timers as well. So let me create another case. Just as we have done some kind of changes, let us make sure the default subject, I can provide any particular customer as well. So just if you observe here, I don't see any particular SLA related time, that is resolving field that is not present. Once I click on this particular save, then I will see this particular resolving, and also in the SLA tab, I will get this particular interactive way of this particular resolve by. So like this, these particular SLA timers We do have these different timers that are present, like SLA timers. If I go back to here, so if you observe, right, within 30 minutes, if it is not been responded, then I will get this respective form appearances. So this particular documentation, it was been given. So simply you can follow this particular documentation as is. The main catch here, right? So whenever few important things that you have to remember, one is creation of this particular SLA. If you have multiple SLAs that are present, make sure when you are doing it as a manually, first you have to select that particular SLA, and then once you select that particular SLA, make that as a default. That was the first point. Second point, whenever you wanted to show this particular SLA timer on your case or any of that particular table, first you have to go to the customizations part of it, and in that customizations you have to open that particular form, and in that particular form you have to select this particular SLA timer, where once you enable any SLA, then you automatically you will get this particular resolving option. If at all you have taken couple of SLAs, then that resolving, along with this particular resolving, you will get the other SLA as well with that particular timer. In the same way, here in this SLA tab, you will see the SLA timer for the one of the KPI. This is for resolved by KPI. If you take another escalated on or another other KPI, then that respective KPI related timers will also come here. So this was the second thing that you have to remember. And the third one, right, whenever you perform any particular changes, then in any default solution or any of your selected solution, make sure to publish all these particular changes. This is the third point. And the fourth point, important thing, once you enable any SLA for any table, you cannot revoke that one. So that isn't permanent. So that's why whenever you are thinking about any SLA, don't enable this for all the entities which where you cannot revoke that particular one. That means you cannot uncheck that particular tab, that particular option. The reason behind it is, right, at the back end there are few items and few workflows and few processes will be created, and those mappings and relationships will get associated with this particular table with the SLA. That's the reason why we cannot uncheck that one. See, appears it is simple. So Venkat, just it is checkbox, right? What will happen? Why Microsoft is not giving that uncheck option? The reason behind it was there are number of multiple operations, multiple things that happens at the back end. That's the main reason, right? So this is one way of enabling SLA. There is also other advanced ways that are also present, that as mentioned in the slide deck, like we can enable any particular SLA, or we can trigger any SLA through the process like the Power Automate flow or any plugins as well. That means through code also you can trigger these particular SLAs. So ideally, right, if I have 10 SLAs, I cannot set all the 10 SLAs as default. You can set only one SLA as a default. Then if at all I get any business case where based upon certain condition my SLA needs to be activated, so in that particular time, even though you create these particular SLAs, but that SLA activation you will do it in certain kind of trigger conditions. Okay, so hope I have given this particular information about the timer control of the SLA enabled entities, and also in this how we can create any SLA and the KPI. So you can also give here in the customer service hub couple of ways you can enable, or you can navigate to these particular cases through that admin, and also here as well. So with that, right, just I have completed the explanation and also showing about the SLA manually how you can create it. So Mahender, do you wanted to add any closing notes?
Hi Venkata, thank you for explaining all this process, starting from creating SLA and how we can apply it, and what are the different ways or what are the different timers that is available. We can put it there, right? So yeah, so as you said that when we set up that SLA, we need to be very careful, and we need this require a very careful planning, right? So we need to decide at how many SLA we want to create for a particular entity, or how many entities that we want to enable for that SLA. And in case if by mistake, let's say you have enabled some entity for that SLA, so make sure that there is no SLA, there any active states. You can deactivate them so that nothing will be applicable for that entity, right? So yeah, so I think we covered whatever we wanted to cover on this session. So uh, that's what stay tuned for our next session, where we will be bringing some more object from the customer service, and we will discuss there. And as all these sessions that we are doing, that is available on the YouTube. You can watch our, if you have not watched our earlier sessions, so you can watch it and you can share it with your friends, and stay tuned for more wonderful sessions. Thank you very much.
Also, we have not wished our viewers. This is our first session in the new year.
Happy New Year,
So
everyone.
happy new year to everyone.
Late,
Yeah,
but
it is
yeah,
late, but this is our first
yep,
show.
yep. That's our first show. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thanks everyone.